spoke to Together campaigner Alan Miller earlier today about digital ID. Here's what he had to say. Now, we know that a lot of you at home are concerned about the concept of digital ID and a big government being able to look into the minutiae of your lives. We had the news yesterday that support for digital ID has collapsed. It's gone down from about 35% of the British public to minus 14%. And one man who can take some credit for that nudging of the particular dial is Alan Miller from Together, and he joins me now. Alan, first of all, your reaction to that news that support for digital ID has gone through the floor.
Well, it's fantastic to see the great British public coming out and having their voices heard. It's also very interesting to see that across the political arena, from what they call the left to the centre and the right, there's unanimity in this. The idea that we have a biometric surveillance state constantly censoring, constantly surveying and monitoring the public. The British public do not want this. So it's fantastic to see that. But at the same time, we know that the people that are in power are quite determined to make sure this happens in an array of ways. So we have to stay very vigilant together.
You have been a big part of a lot of what I would call the guerrilla marketing, actually. You were at the Liverpool conference, the Labour conference, weren't you, up north? And tell us what you did there, because we saw some phenomenal, eye-catching stunts, basically.
Yeah, so we were at Labour Party conference and the Together Declaration, we had a series of projections that had images of Keir Starmer as Big Brother in George Orwell's famous book, with no to digital ID projected in lots of places like the Liver building, Lime Street Station and at Tobacco Dock. We also were working with the guys in New Brighton and Dan Davis, who had projections and posters all around New Brighton. And other stunts went on, like Fred, who did the thing down at the beach with the impression of Keir Starmer. And what we were doing as well was giving out flyers, and we organised a rally and a protest with farmers and with loads of people saying no to digital ID, which got a lot of attention and engaged with a lot of people who were attending the conference, and also lots of people in the Northwest who were there and sort of explaining and why it was that we're so opposed to digital ID, and so many of them agreed with us. One of the funniest bits was when Everton football match was on and all the footy fans were going past at the projections and cheering and taking photos.
Very powerful. And I don't know about you, Alan, but I thought we'd reach sort of peak satire when the imprint on the sand had a police car pull up to work out what was going on. There was the state to police a sandcastle. Like, you literally couldn't write it, could you? Now listen, the government are probably going to still try and push this through. What methods do you think they're going to use next? Because the idea that it would stop illegal migration has just frankly dissolved.
Yeah, so Keir Starmer's recognised that the it will stop the boats argument has fallen completely, and it's just ridiculed. So at his speech at the party conference, he said we're going to have NHS digital. That's the big idea, and what it's going to do is it's going to reduce waiting times, and it's going to get you to a GP no matter where you are around the country. But of course we know that's another spin, because the issue of not enough GPs and not enough time, and the issue with A&E, and the issue of too many bureaucrats and not enough frontline staff, but also a lack of efficiency, and the big question of what is to be done with healthcare in Britain, and whether we should have more of a mixed approach to it like they have on the continent in Europe. These things are not going to get resolved by a digital ID. And the big concerns, of course, with the health digital ID is what we've seen already when there was an attempt to impose a mandate for jabs for people who'd been working on the front line, 100,000 NHS staff. We'd already lost 45,000 care workers from it. The idea that we have a biometric state with a digital ID which nudges and forces and coerces people, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, it is, and I think they will keep trying all sorts of methods. So we've got to stay vigilant, Alan Miller. I know you always do. Thank you so much for joining GB News, and thank you for your hard work in this area. It's much appreciated.
Have you had a random call lately from a strange number, maybe trying to sell you something or even scam you? If so, your info could be out there. That's because of data brokers, shady companies that scrape the internet for your personal details and sell them to marketers or even scammers. These days, scammers can even use AI to mimic your friends' voices and trick you into sending money. It's not just annoying, data brokers often target vulnerable people with high-interest loans or sketchy offers. But there is a solution. Incogni, the sponsor of this video. Incogni contacts data brokers on your behalf and requests your info be deleted from their databases. And because your data can keep popping up, Incogni keeps sending removal requests to make sure it stays gone. They've just launched a new unlimited plan with custom removals. If you find your info on a weird website, just send them the link and their privacy team will work to get it taken down. Getting started is easy. Hit the link in the description, create your account and let Incogni handle the rest. It's risk-free for 30 days and you'll get 60% off an annual plan with the code GBNews. Take back control of your data with Incogni.
On digital IDs, here is what the Prime Minister has to say on it and why he thinks it's an important policy.
We need to be really clear. You must have ID, mandatory digital ID, in order to work, because we have to stop illegal working. If you look at any of the raids, we've massively increased the number of raids on working premises. It is absolutely clear that people are working illegally in numbers.
Niall, your thoughts on the concept of the British people being tied to a centralised digital ID system, please.
Well, I think they've already emphatically rejected it, as polls have demonstrated. I think that the British people view this whole digital ID as an Orwellian nightmare. It's been a disaster for Labour, and Keir Starmer, I think, is only starting now to wake up to the reality here. I mean, this is political poison, of course, for Labour. He should just drop it really as soon as possible. Well, and it's a deeply unpopular policy and the wrong policy as well, of course.
You knew her well. What would Margaret Thatcher have said?
I think she would have strongly opposed it, actually. She would have viewed it as big government, socialist overreach. And if she was with us today, I think she would have strongly fought it. It is an Orwellian nightmare. And surely, I think, Keir Starmer knows this, but it would be humiliating for him to backtrack. But I think everyone in the Labour cabinet knows this is a complete and utter disaster for them.
Well, right down to the name, Bev, because we were saying...
The Brit card. The
Brit card. GB News is saying Chris Hope. He was interviewing Scottish Labour leader Anna Sarwar, talking about the Brit card, who then insisted that no, apparently it is not going to be called the Brit card. They've had pushback against that, although they didn't clarify what it will be called. But 2 million Brits have signed up to that petition now. When it was first announced, you saw the numbers rolling in, just across the board. Like you said, Bev, there in your interview earlier, it's beyond satire really at this point.
I think a lot of the British public saw through the notion that it was called the Brit card. I actually did a piece on this for the gbnews.com website, which is on YouTube, which was a monologue that I did months ago when they announced it was going to be called the Brit card, saying why I thought it was ridiculous and that we weren't going to buy into it. So I like to think I might have had something to do with that.
Keir Starmer's listening.
Yeah, exactly. Keir Starmer's listening. Where will they go now with it, though, now? Because the infrastructure's there. It's built. It's paid for.
Yeah.
I don't know what this could be the most catastrophic waste of money. Yet another catastrophic waste of money. We saw the 30 billion, I think it was, spent on the infrastructure for the track and trace during the pandemic. I do wonder which of that has been remodeled to be. I have no evidence of that.
Yeah.
But whether that has been used to start this track and trace surveillance app is what it will be.
Yeah, it's a huge waste of taxpayers' money, of course, and no doubt this will be used against critics of the government, thousands of people have been arrested already for their social media tweets, and you can see how this will be used actually to suppress genuine freedom of speech. It's not going to be used actually against illegal migration. It's going to be used against the British people actually, and I think this is what it's about. It's about power and control. Although, Keir Starmer in that interview looked like a sort of Winnie the Pooh, but sort of Orwellian Winnie the Pooh. But the reality is that this is a very sinister thing. I don't trust this Keir Starmer government one bit. They will use it against the British people.
There were a lot of MPs at the Labour Party conference coming out and saying, Bev, I mean, literally interviewed some of them. You are using your imagination. That is not what it is going to be. It will be entirely benevolent. It's about organising. And there is an argument to say that our digital systems should be better organised, Sarah, briefly.
Yeah, I mean, look, the government is saying this is about verifying your identification when you go for a job. They have to, you know, it's going to be a good thing, basically. You will not be able to work without it.
Yeah, well, let's see. Watch this space. It is certainly a developing story.